Hello, welcome to today's discussion. Today we'll be, with my distinguished panel, be looking at the economic aspect of the pandemic, focusing on recovery and sustainable promotion and facilitation of investment. I'm Bana Namata, a journalist, and I have a distinguished panel with me today that I'm glad have honored the invitation. Thank you so much for coming. Allow me to introduce them. I'll start on my immediate left. Mr. John Mirenge, the CEO of Insurance, Prime Insurance Limited. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
My next esteemed guest is Mr. Abdul Halim, the Managing Director of Bank of Africa. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with the impact of the pandemic. We are in the second year of the pandemic. Most of us never saw it taking longer than a year, but the reality is we are still dealing with the pandemic. From where you sit, your operations, give us a sense of how the pandemic has affected your operations and generally your industry. I'll start with you, John Mirenge.
Thanks, Bana. I mean, the impact of the pandemic definitely is more than anybody would have, just like you said, ever understood and estimated. I mean, when it all started more than a year ago, we all thought that it would last, just like all the other flus, it would last a few weeks, probably at most a month or so. But unfortunately, we are still sitting with it more than a year down the road. I'll start by saying that when it all began, indeed it was vicious. The economy, not only of Rwanda as a country, but the entire world, literally shut down. I mean, we had lockdowns, we had industry, business, all shutting down at the same time. So it comes to explain why, I mean, as an insurance sector, there's no way we could have thrived as usual. Our biggest portfolio is with industry, is with services, is with business as a whole. Once they shut down, naturally that came to hit at us hard. I'll give you simple cases. I mean, we have the hospitality industry that was literally devastated and shut down because of the pandemic. You have the public sector, public transport sector, that also fell through as a result of the pandemic. But also beyond that, we had layoffs, and that in itself took away what oils and drives an economy. So in terms of liquidity, in terms of business operations, this was unprecedented, and it really hit at us very hard. I'll probably stop at that.
Thank you. Mr. Abdulhim, if you could just give us a sense of the impact of the pandemic.
Yes, thank you. To be very concrete for our bank, for Bank of Africa, for instance, we in the beginning, just the beginning of the pandemic, we were obliged to close some of our branches because of low activity. 1/3 of our branches were closed immediately during the 3 months of the full lockdown. More than that, the remaining opening branches were obliged to shorten their working hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. only. We had trade finance, international trade, which has completely stopped. Import, export transactions were completely stopped because borders were closed. And of course, quick deterioration of the loan portfolio because some of our customers, as my colleague Mr. John said, some sectors were very strongly hit. Then there were some non-performing loans immediately. And then for all this, there was really a stop of the activity and we're obliged to take some measures in order to accompany our client, to accompany our sector, in order to support this crisis, specifically in the beginning. Maybe.
Yes, you just mentioned the impacts on your customers, the loan portfolio. If you could just give us a sense of how you have had to restructure, for instance, approximately how much have you had to restructure, and what are your clients telling you? What are they struggling with?
In fact, the crisis has different consequences, and we take different measures. Of course, the first one, before talking about loans, is of course sanitary measures, sanitizing, keeping our premises all sanitized, spacing masks, physical distancing, avoiding physical meetings, etc. Secondly, workers were obliged to work only, we have only 30% of our workers in our premises. Then we were obliged to put a majority of our workers either to work remotely or even to go on leave. And also, and for all that, and customers cannot go to our premises. Then the first measure that we took is to implement, and we had, thanks God, a good digital infrastructure. We put in place all our digital infrastructure to support our customers remotely. And we developed this infrastructure for all the features in order to stick on the needs of all our customers, to serve them remotely through online, through our mobile banking, mobile wallet, electronic cards, and also internet banking. This is very important. Then for the loan, there's also two actions. Of course, first of all, supporting our customers that were strongly hit by the pandemic, and we try to give them tailor-made solution for each of our customers, either proposing them restructuring or delaying their payment according to their needs. And we try really to be very close to our customer on that. And we have also the support of the government, of the authorities, of our central bank, which facilitate this restructuring process. Then for us, as a bank, we restructured almost 25% of our portfolio, global portfolio, during the course of the year 2020. But the other action also that we took, I think it's strategic, that we don't give up and we don't stop to finance economy. Then even during the full lockdown, we took this decision to continue to finance the economy. Of course, with selected sector, all the sector that's still working and not completely affected. And then we continue to finance them, including import-export activities. And we will continue, of course, because even with the crisis, there is also opportunities that come up. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me come back to you regarding insurance. When we look at penetration, if I'm not mistaken, it remains less than 3% for Rwanda. And it's a general trend across the region, across Africa. And usually the challenge with people taking up insurance is the value for money. Why should I insure for or pay money for something that may not actually happen? What lesson did you from your experience with COVID, from where you have had, the different clients that you're dealing with, what lessons are you taking from COVID within that, against that background?
Okay, I will probably just step a little bit back and mention that, again, none of us ever thought that we'd wake up one day and be unable to underwrite, to service our clients, to settle claims because we are shut out of our offices. And most of our processes that we've always run as insurance have always been, let me call it very physical in nature, that there are touch points where you have to sign long documents, and that's where maybe a lesson for all of us, that we need to do things differently. None of us ever thought that we would get to that point. But look, be it as is, it happened. And as you correctly put it, what lesson have we learned from that? Indeed, we have learned that insurance, like most other sectors and services, need to rise to the occasion and move to the next level. We need to see this actually as an opportunity to reshape or remake ourselves in line with the societal needs and what the market is dictating. We're lucky we are in a country that is very digital in nature, with a very good spread and penetration of the internet, technology. We need to really do more than we are doing. That is one. But most important, as you put it, we need to use this opportunity to understand that with a penetration, an insurance penetration level below 2%, you put it at 3%. No, I want to correct the record. It's below 2%. We can never be of impact in the economy. We can never impact the lives of our people. So we need to do more. First and foremost, we need to work on awareness. We need to get, as you correctly put it, to get our people to a level where they appreciate that although insurance is more of a promise about the peril that may happen one day, which in most cases doesn't, but it's important to get into the minds of our people, to make them appreciate that you rather take it than not have it. Because as we saw, following the pandemic, those that had their businesses and their activities properly insured had an easier way to recover following the pandemic. Those that had insured against business interruption, for argument's sake, and included pandemics, I wouldn't want to say they're laughing to the bank, but at least they are solid in terms of business continuity. So it is very, very important, and I hope all of us are learning. We never thought we would be in this place where we are today, but be it us, but more importantly, our clients. And it's our role and the role of the regulator and everybody else, or their stakeholders, to work together towards that awareness and education of our people. Thank you.
Would you like to comment on that, on what you just said?
Yes, I think really, before taking, there's a lot of opportunity beyond this crisis that we to take in, but maybe before to see all the challenges that we are facing, and it's also opportunities in front of it. The challenges that we are facing in the banking sector globally, that the non-performing loan will continue to increase in the next few months, maybe few years. And this is due to this pandemic, because the consequences are still high. Then the provisions also will increase due to this increase of NPL and also to uncertainties about the near future. And also the cost of resources will continue to be high, and this is key also. And maybe we will partner also. This is an opportunity with insurance company to partner to build up bank insurance product, etc., to increase savings in the sector. We have also increased risk in the digital, in the cyber attacks, cyber frauds, etc., because there is a lot of digital transactions now, digital activities, then we need also to invest in cyber security more. Then all this offered us many opportunities in order to understand that the way of working will change drastically. The digital transformation of the financial sector as a whole, not only banks, but insurance, etc., is key. And now we need to interact differently with our customers, but also with our colleagues, with our peers, and to stick and to be agile, to adapt ourselves in these new realities. Then I think this is very important in order to understand that we need to be prepared for any other shock, any other pandemic, and we need to be prepared in order to work remotely and to offer the best product and services tailored to these situations. Thank you.
At a personal level, I think what we've seen from the COVID crisis is the importance of leadership and visionary leadership. We saw that right in the middle of the crisis, the government was quite responsive, and very quickly they managed to set up the Special Economic Recovery Fund to support businesses that have been struggling. Now, looking ahead, if you could speak to how beneficial this has been for the economy and how it will continue to be important in terms of recovery. I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, just as you put it, we are blessed that we have a government that is ever dynamic and responsive in matters of a crisis like we are going through. Just like my colleague was mentioning, to do with the non-performing loans, we in the industry, in the sector, in the insurance sector, have also been struggling with, recovery issues. I mean, when you talk devastated sectors, you definitely don't expect them to be able to raise funds to settle their premiums. And we understand, I mean, if they are not operating, if they're not working, we're talking of the hospitality sector, the public transport sector, name it. There's no way they would be able to raise funds to settle their premiums. As you put it, with the Economic Recovery Fund that was availed by our government through the central bank, we are already seeing a positive trend in that those that have been able to access it have quickly come up to settle their premiums, which is a very welcome development in terms of where we were many months ago. I will also mention a situation like in our case, where you have the public transport sector being supported by RULA, the regulator, to top up or finance that part of the seats that they do not fill because of the COVID protection measures. That is also starting to resurrect the sector which was a few months totally dead. At least now you're seeing that whenever they are reimbursed for those seats, they're able to settle their premiums on our part. So it's very, very important, as you put it, and it's already, let me say, as looking at the numbers, the recently released numbers, and I think the projections are growth for this year in excess of 5%, which is not heard of anywhere else in the world. At this time during COVID, to talk about 5% growth, economic growth for a nation. So this has all worked together, and I tell you, the resilience that I'm seeing gives me hope that we, yes, going through a very difficult period, but there is hope that very soon we'll be out of this.
Yes, I think really, I join my colleague, I think we can be very proud about the reactivity of the government of Rwanda to face this pandemic. First of all, on health-wise, for our population, and it was very efficient, and also on economic outlook. And economic outlook, we had also the support as a banker of the Rwandan Central Bank, which was very also efficient. Not only for the economic recovery fund for our customers, of course, to support them and to structure their loans without penalties, without effort, etc. And we even structured them several times in order to adapt to each situation. But also on liquidity-wise, because the central bank put in place some measures in order to ensure that liquidity in the market remains available for all the banks. Then all these measures help us effectively to be efficient and to be resilient and to support our businesses, our customers. And as my colleague said, I'm also optimistic in the near future, despite all the challenges that I mentioned before, that we will recover progressively and we will improve the situation.
Let's talk about the room for innovation in the process of recovery. Earlier you had mentioned about partnerships, the role of partnerships. We saw that during the pandemic, more transactions were being done, one, of course, electronically, but also on mobile. Just 2 weeks ago, we saw MTN, for instance, announce that it is getting into financial services, fintech. I want to understand going forward how you see, one, the room for partnership and how innovation could help recovery. I'll start with you. What are you thinking? How are you repositioning?
I definitely think that banks should continue to invest heavily in research and development to cope with all the innovation and the new world that we are going in. And we need to continue to develop our infrastructure, digital infrastructure, and to develop the features to support our customers. But definitely this can be made in partnership with the MNOs, with the operators, and also with the insurance companies, and we are all complementary. In fact, each company brings its own specificities. But I think we are building partnership between MNOs, between banks, between insurance companies in order to serve our customers and to fit to their needs. Then today we still continue to invest and to develop our infrastructure in order to provide mobile wallet, mobile banking, internet banking, cards, etc., and to allow all customers to transact online and remotely. And this is very important. I think this is also an opportunity because during the crisis, and especially the lockdown, many customers that didn't have digital banking came to the bank to subscribe to digital banking. That it's our opportunity to keep up these customers in the banking sectors and also to propose them also insurance product, etc. And also to attract new customers for the digital banking needs. And thus, Bank of Africa Rwanda is really resolute to develop, to increase financial inclusion in the country and to promote also the cashless economy that we are trying to do. Thank you.
Given that we are seeing, of course, increasingly a lot of that, a lot of investment around digital channels, looking at the typical banking operations, and I'm talking about the branch network, are we likely to see some banks closing branches just because of the digital channels, or will you still?
Yes, it is a possibility. I don't know for banks to have a very big network, maybe because there's many ways now to reach our customers, including agent banking that we have in Rwanda. But for us, I think we have enough branches. We have no intention to close. Maybe we'll open again 1 or 2 branches, but definitely we will not develop much more the network because now we can reach our customers remotely and very efficiently by different ways. And today our customer can also transact in any branch for their account, in any country, also directly from their account. And then, thank you.
Thank you. Let's speak about innovation again, the importance of innovation going forward. The insurance sector, what partnerships are you considering, and what do you see in terms of innovation going forward to support recovery?
Very good. One, as I mentioned earlier, we've really slept on our laps for too long as the sector. The banks have had a leap ahead of us. But yes, there are opportunities out there. There are insurtechs that are springing up everywhere. So first and foremost, we need to align ourselves with technology, even where we can't immediately get into the innovation process, but partner with some insurtechs that have processes and products that are ready to run. We are, as a sector, cannot sit where we are. We are talking, especially in the case of Rwanda, we are talking of a very youthful population, more than 75%. We are talking of a very digital savvy population. We are talking of connectivity that has reached every corner of the world. Even the remotest part of the country today is able to transact, especially through, if you look at it, they're able to communicate, they're able to transact on mobile money, which is already a challenge that has been thrown at us, but a very big opportunity for us, because again, on the same platform, we should be able to line up, simple, life-changing products that are affordable, that everyone can easily access. So that is the bit that is still lacking, that we need to work on. And if I take a case with my own company, we were very lucky that by the time of the pandemic last year, we had already come up with a few digital products on motor vehicle, on agriculture, and a few others. Ordinarily residence insurance that you could actually do off your phone. What we are doing today, we learned our own lesson. We're now moving to the next level where our entire claims process, because we realized that during the lockdown and that difficult period, our clients could not easily have their claims settled. So that whole process is now being digitalized, so that from the moment of an accident or a peril, you are able to claim, put in your claim, and then have the claim settled, and money gets into your bank account or your mobile money account without any physical contact. So that is very important. The other thing that we have also seen as a sector, which is also very equally important, is that we realized that then, when the lockdown was on, for you to be able to renew your vehicle insurance without the physical contact, without the signing of the pages or papers, it was a problem. We've since moved and gotten to the digital certificates. Today, you don't need to go to any insurance company office to have your insurance cover renewed or a new one delivered, because all is done digitally, and be it police, be it any other authority, it's just a matter of punching a certain USSD code and your insurance cover will be displayed. So that's already one step. We are doing a lot more as a sector, but also at an individual level as a company. We are looking at ways of detaching customers from that requirement. And it's going to work. I mean, as I said, we started a bit late, but for sure, the future looks much better.
The elephant in the room is always the transaction costs, and this is, you know, for both insurance and also for the banking sector as you go into mobile. This week there was an outrage on social media over banking transaction costs mobile. One of the banks was being challenged over its transaction costs. What will it take to bring down transaction costs, one, to drive the cashless economy that we aspire to have, but also to have adaptability, more people adapt to these digital platforms? Okay,
I won't speak for the banking sector because definitely not that conversant, but let me say for the insurance sector, the more we get digital, actually, the less in terms of costs of doing business. So the end point is to get to that level where we are able to serve our client at the least cost, which will automatically reduce the premiums the client pays, and indeed reduces our operating costs on our part. The more we dismantle those physical walls and physical people sitting in branches as to where, and be able to transact seamlessly, like I was saying, with the client, we cut out a lot of costs. So I personally think and see that digitalization, especially in the insurance sector, will tremendously bring down costs and lower premiums. And especially as we innovate more, we break down products to, let me call it, a bite-size levels, where we no longer have to sell the traditional products that everybody has always known, but we bundle more on top of the traditional products to address different needs for the client. And the premiums will be so little that if you're going to be sending people to collect and pay using people having to drive in and out, then chances are that that product will not be appealing. So the intention is to bring the product to that level of low cost that premiums are low, payouts are low. That can only be done digitally. Otherwise, physically, the costs involved with the movements cannot justify it.
You've been put on the spot, transaction costs.
I'm sorry.
Yes, really, banking sector also, our aim is to reduce the digital cost, because it's, first of all, it's our interest. If we reduce digital costs, we will reach more customers, especially retail and SME customers that work remotely. Our aim is to reach the maximum of customers. Then the more we reduce the costs, the more we will reach more customers, and these customers will do more transactions, and of course will benefit from it. Then the objective of the banks is to reduce the costs, but we are in partnership with mobile networks operators also, that we need to improve this partnership and in order to be able to reduce these costs, because you understand that it's not only for the banks, it's also for the MNOs. And the other thing, and this is the challenge, that also it's important investment that we do in digital platforms, in digital infrastructures, in order to serve our customers. This is costly, and we need to amortize it. But meanwhile, the costs have been reduced, and have been even made as for free for 3 months during the full lockdown in order to attract customers. And now we try to reduce the cost, but the aim is at the end is to reduce drastically the cost in order to attract more customers and then to make more transactions and to increase the financial inclusion. And what my colleague said also, we need to also increase the product and services that we can do digitally. For instance, today, our customers can do transfers, can look at their account, make different transfers, different payments directly to the tax, to the payment, to the schools, etc. We can also develop, they can also request a loan digitally also. Then we are trying to make the maximum of products and features to our customers in order to be able also to benefit from it and to be able to reduce these costs and to build this virtual circle about this digital transformation process. Thank you.
Earlier he talked about the projection for this year for economic growth. I think it was released yesterday. The IMF projection is Rwanda will recover to at least 5%. So hopefully it will be more than 5%. And this is from a contraction of around 3.6% from last year. Give us a sense of the outlook. We are seeing that, of course, almost every 2 weeks, restrictions are being eased. We've had vaccination going on, and I think now we are at about close to 4% of the population. What does recovery look like from where you operate? What do you see driving growth going forward? I'll start with you.
Thank you very much. That is really very welcome news that those projections are showing us a higher than average growth, post-COVID growth. We are already starting to feel it. I can tell you that as the restrictions get eased, we already feel it through the traffic that comes to transact. I'll say probably for Prime, the previous year was great because we probably positioned ourselves a bit earlier than when the pandemic hit. This year, 2021, we are already in the 5th month, and so far the numbers are looking good. We had some very difficult months in the past, in last year. But since then, the trajectory is good, and we're feeling that already, as you asked, certain sectors have been very quick to recover. I'll still say the transport sector, especially the trucking sector. Again, those are some, I would say, some of the lighter moments.
We're talking about trucks. Cross-border.
Yes, cross-border. Probably those are some of the lighter sides of any difficult situation. It all became very clear that that was an area that needed revamping, and very quickly, because people still need to eat. Development needs to continue, and as a landlocked country, we need that kind of mode of transport. So we are seeing a lot of new companies coming up. Even the old ones that were there, we are seeing them renew their trucks, more investments. Again, thanks to the banking sector, they've been doing a very good job to finance, even amidst the difficulties. Again, the construction industry hasn't stopped. With a bit of moments of shutdown here and there, but by and large, the construction industry is, as you can see, a lot is happening in the country. That is definitely an area of growth. The service industry is still struggling. But again, with the easing of the lockdown, with the COVID situation improving, we are definitely expecting this sector to also pick up. So, in short, we are very positive about the future, and hoping that everything remains as is, because I mean this pandemic has been changing face, especially at moments when you literally when you hope everything is in the past, then it comes up with a new variant in a different attack ways. So it's too early to say it's behind us, but so far so good. And for sure, we hope if nothing deteriorates beyond where we are, and of course it requires, let me call it, inclusive effort by all of us to try and fight and be proactive and prevent it from getting out of control again in our country. But so in short, the prospects and the positivity is there.
What does recovery look like from where you stand?
Yes, thank you. I would like to remember that Rwanda recorded increase of GDP of 7-8% during the last 10 years, and it was really impressive. And after the shock that was, I think, very well mitigated by authorities and by the measures that we talked about, and we registered minus 3% of growth last year. This year is expected 5.7%, and I think that we can do more, because there is a lot of opportunities. And for Bank of Africa Rwanda, we talked about, of course, digital transformation and reaching out maximum of customers to include them in the banking sector, etc. This is important, but also we need to continue to finance the economy heavily, and this is our objective. And with selected sectors, there is a lot of sectors that have a lot of big potential and are still working, and like renewable energy, I can talk about it. Agriculture, there is a lot to do in agriculture. Manufacturing also, health services, yes, and also digital and financial services. Then all these sectors must be financed, and there is a lot of opportunities. Our objective in BEO Rwanda is to support these sectors despite the crisis, also to continue to improve import and export, to support importers and exporters. And Rwanda, as you know, is positioned as a hub for investors in East Africa. There is a lot of opportunities also that companies outside want to invest in Rwanda in order to reach out not only the Rwandan market, but the East African market. Then all these are opportunities that the banks are looking at it and try to support in order to sustain the growth of the country. And that's why I'm really optimistic for this year and for the years ahead, despite the challenges that we will face again for this.
Let's talk about the risks a bit to this outlook. We know that the special measures that have been put in place are not permanent. So I think the initial allocation is for 2 years or so. If you were to talk to the finance minister or the central bank governor, what recommendation would you give in terms of one policy that is required to support growth going forward, and at what point do you feel government should start withdrawing some of the stimulus packages that we've seen rolled out during the crisis?
Yes, in my humble view, I think government should keep these measures, especially for the very hated sectors. I talked about especially hospitality sector. Then these measures have been taken for 1 year, and they should continue for the sector that are hated, especially on...
For 2 years, 3 years?
It depends. We need to adapt the situation after, maybe to be extended for 1 year, and then we'll see after 1 year what is it. But definitely for the hospitality sector, I think they will be hated again this year and maybe next year, because you see events are cancelled, and we don't have that lot of events to attract customers, then then this sector should be, I think we will be continued to be supported. Public transport now is removing a little bit, but we need to adapt, and I'm sure that the government and authorities are looking at it very closely, and they adapt the situation in it. But of course, some measures can be removed also once some sectors are recovered and they are fully active. They can be removed also. Then it's a matter of adaptability to this new environment.
What recommendations would you give?
I mean, definitely it would be premature to, at this stage, predict how long this difficult period is going to last. I don't think anybody can, for certainty, say in the next 2 years, economies will have recovered to where they were prior to the COVID pandemic. Some of those measures and policies that were adopted by government, and in our case, the central bank, who happens to be our regulator, I think need to be observed and probably stretched as we all see the trend. It shouldn't just be like we set ourselves for 2 years and then 2 years, boom, we stopped at that. I think we are in it together. This is a collective effort from all stakeholders. We need to follow the trends and look at it as it progresses. Specifically for the insurance companies, there's one area that hits us very hard, in that with this pandemic, premium settlement became a very big problem. So recoveries for premiums has been a nightmare. And it is understandable that because businesses are not working, how else are they going to raise monies for? But these businesses are big enough that they cannot do or survive without being insured, because then it opens up a whole set of issues. Again, their financials will raise the problem, and beyond that, probably even the few patrons that would be coming to them will not deal with them unless they prove that they are insured. So it becomes a two catch. You don't know where to start and where to end. But then the regulator had come in to kind of ease the requirement that premiums need to be paid immediately, cash on delivery, as it has been in the law. They eased it to about 90 days. But again, as to where this is something that they set as a temporary measure to try and assist the sector during this period. From what we are seeing, definitely the situation hasn't eased. He just mentioned the hospitality sector isn't going to recover in the next 12 months to probably 24 months away. The public transport sector is still carrying passengers at 75%. They are not at full capacity. So in terms of what we think should be done, some of those measures that were introduced to support the sector should be allowed to continue a little longer, as we all watch where everything heads. So that is our appeal.
There's a special group that I feel needs attention, and this is because of its contribution to the economy. And I'm talking about small and medium businesses who throughout the pandemic have really had severe shocks compared to large companies. Looking ahead from your different industries, what are you doing to support small and medium businesses? I'll start with you.
Yes, the small and medium businesses are key in the Rwandan economy, all over the world, and especially in the Rwandan economy. The majority of businesses are small and medium and very small in the Rwandan economy. Then the banks we are trying to support them because it's a key sector for us, for our development, for the economy, etc. And we are proposing all our products and services to this sector, and we try to also to build some services dedicated for depending on the sector. For instance, for agriculture, we have specific products for cooperatives, for SMEs in the trade, we have specific product also for the trade, etc., etc. Then this sector, you are totally right, are the ones that are the most hit by the pandemic. Then the first measure that we did, of course, is restructuring their loan when needed, or postponing, delaying their payment, and trying to adapt to their need and to help them to recover and to resume their activity progressively. And then we monitor their activity with them and try to support them until they resume fully their activity. And there is where I join my colleague here, that I think that also government should also increase and extend this period of restructuring phase that we can give for this sector. On the other side, we need also maybe to build specific financial fund for specific sectors in SME in order to support their growth and to support their activities. And that's why we are doing on day-to-day basis. But today, with this crisis, the most important is to help them to recover and to go over this crisis. Thank you.
Please. What are you doing to support small and medium businesses?
I'll probably relate that to the agriculture sector, because again, if you're talking about small, medium, agriculture comes in a lot. One thing that probably we all learned from these difficult times of the pandemic is that agriculture is actually backbone of any nation, and I mean it's tested and proved in our situation. At least throughout the time, we probably had other issues and other probably lacking items, but at least we can be proud that we had our nation fed throughout these difficult times. And good enough, agriculture was left to continue operating even at the worst of the times. As insurers, we know one thing, that these are definitely the most vulnerable and hardest hit and more difficult to recover. And as we saw it, when there are certain disasters, natural calamities, some of them never recover. So I think one thing that we have embarked on working with the government is that of the agricultural insurance, which was never a big thing in this country until recently. 2 years ago, a scheme was set up that is partly financed by government, where government finances 40% of the premiums. We have been trying to drive it into the communities, into cooperatives especially, that are able to put together their farms, and it's so far showing very good results. When you take it to the level of livestock, today even people with 1 or 2 cows are able to insure those and still benefit from the 40% premium payment by government. So this is an area that we need to really invest our effort. We now, I hope everyone that has a mind in our country knows that you cannot thrive unless you insure whatever level of activity that you are doing. Again, it's a role that, as I mentioned earlier, that the insurance operators need to take a lead on, but also there is a part that we'll expect government and other stakeholders to play, to popularize to educate, to increase awareness across the country. It's much bigger, it's much easier with the formal sector, which already understands the dynamics of doing business. When you go a bit lower to the informal sector, I think that hand of government and other stakeholders need to become very active and visible. Just like we're able to drive the health insurance through Mutuelle de Santé to the point where today we can proudly say above 90s of percent of our population is entirely covered. We need to get that awareness to the next set of other covers that need to percolate into our population, so that whatever hits us, be it a pandemic like we are going through or any other calamities, then we have built resilience at all levels.
Thank you. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll conclude the discussion looking at the opportunities that lie ahead and strategic advice on how to position yourself to take advantage of the opportunities going forward. Thank you. Welcome back. We are still looking at the economy, trying to discuss the opportunities ahead as we try to recover from the ongoing pandemic. I have a distinguished panel with me, Mr. John Mirenge, the CEO of Prime Insurance Limited. Welcome again. And Mr. Abdul from the Managing Director of Bank of Africa. Let's talk about the opportunities that lie ahead. I mean, almost, I think, not just at individual level, but businesses. Everybody's tired of the pandemic. We are in the second year. But looking at the opportunities ahead, because already we are seeing the projections are looking up. What should be the private sector be thinking about? If you're a business leader, what should you be thinking about? I'll start with you, John.
Thank you very much, Bana. I mean, for every situation, there is always a lesson or two to learn from. I mean, when you look at what this might leave us, I think a lot of efficiencies could be reached by understanding that the way we did business previously wasn't definitely the most efficient way. I'll take a simple example. Office space usage. I mean, it's been one of those costs to some businesses. It takes anything to 5%, some go to even up to 10% of your costs. Today, we all know that you can actually set up and conduct business with a third of the heads that you kept in the office, which naturally came with all the running costs. I won't mention them. That is already an area that businesses should be looking. Do I need so much office space? Can't I reach and serve my clients remotely? Again, it comes with all that initial investment that comes with digitalization, with technology. You could stretch your mind to the next levels of data analytics, artificial intelligence, name it. All that has come to show us that there's actually more out there to work with than asking your people to report at office every day. And I think as businesses, we also need to appreciate that our clients, the needs for our clients keep evolving. And with that, we as business owners and operators need to evolve ahead of them. So yes, a lesson has been learned, and any business that will not adopt the new changes will definitely be left behind, if not wiped out. So personally, I think this pandemic had its own problems, obviously, but then there are lessons that we need to learn from it. And if well applied, we'll be able to grow business going forward.
What advice would you give?
Yes, really, if I can develop what has just been said, the digital transformation of the economy is vital, is key. And maybe this is the key lesson that we have learned from this crisis. And digital transformation is not only for financial banks, for financial services, for insurance companies, etc., but it's for all businesses, including the SMEs. And as has been mentioned, all the businesses should make up this digital transformation for 3 reasons. First of all, you reduce cost, because you can reduce office spaces, you can reduce lot of cost can be reduced. Secondly, you can reach much more customers by digital. You can be reached. You can show your products and services more widely, either locally and even internationally. Then you can reach much more customers and very easily. And then also you can improve your business. You can improve your offers. You can adapt to the situation. And the third advantage is also to prevent for any other shock, because when we received this shock, we were not really prepared, and some businesses definitely closed because they have a business with a door and a bug, etc. But next time, if there is a shock like this, as you are digital, you immediately propose your product. You have already your product proposed digitally and online, etc. Then you don't need to go to your office in order to sell your product and your businesses. Then this digital transformation mindset in the economy, I think it's key, and I think the government is aware about that, and the authorities, etc. And this is what we should promote to our clients, to our businesses, etc. As a key lesson from this crisis.
One key aspect that you mentioned is risk management, managing shocks.
Yes.
We have again learned from the crisis that, first of all, many businesses didn't really have risk management as a day-to-day part of their operations. And perhaps that's why the shocks were as adverse, because there was no risk management. I want to pick your brain on going forward, what businesses can do differently in terms of risk management, but also positioning themselves to be able to deal with shocks as we move forward.
Again, I don't want to promote the business of my colleague here, but
it's inevitable.
Shocks, we need to encourage people to take insurance insurance product, which is SMEs, etc. Not only it prevents for shocks or uncertainties, but also it supports also, and I say it very frankly, banks also to finance them, because when they are insured and they insured against fire, against any other things, the banks are more encouraged also to accompany them and to finance them, because these uncertainties, nobody by definition can predict them. Then this is the main thing. Then beside you're right, beside the digital transformation, we need also to prevent shocks with insurance by projections, and try to insure ourselves and to prevent from this from shocks that nobody can expect. Thank you.
How can you define the role of risk management at this point, and why should businesses be thinking about risk management to better deal with shocks that lie ahead?
Sincerely, he didn't want to say it, but he knows as a banker that he won't release any financing unless that client is properly covered. I mean, this insurance is one of those very old industries, and it is, I mean, it has always been hand in glove with the way business is conducted. I cannot overemphasize the point that whoever didn't think it was important, probably this is an eye-opener. We see it in the small to medium businesses you're talking about, especially in agriculture, which is the backbone of our economy. Those that take insurance cover for their agricultural activities, whatever happens, they are able to continue for obvious reasons. Those that don't find it hard to recover, some never recover. For the bigger size business, I want to say again that some of them have been viewing insurance as one of those menaces that is dictated upon them by the banks, because you're taking banks' money, so you must insure. Probably this is not the time to think along those ways, because as a promoter of any business, you need to be sure that come what may, there is sustainability that is built in your business. Because at the end of the day, it's not the bank's business. It is your ideas. It is your business. It does not help you if you're underinsured, for example, and the day something happens, the insurance company only reimburses the bank. And you, the brain behind that business, the promoter, the one that conceived the idea, walk away empty-handed. We always try to talk to some of our key clients. A case in point, you are insuring against fire, against some of these other perils, but you are not insuring against business continuity. When that premise catches fire, the first thing that the insurance does is to reimburse the bank that financed the building. But how about you? How about the employees that are out of job? It's as if you are not a factor in the whole investment arrangement, which is not the case. You are actually the biggest stakeholder because you conceived the idea. That will only come if you extend your cover to business interruption. Then the insurance will come through, pay for business interruption until you are back on your feet. So those are some of the areas that I would want some of our key business, even the SMEs, to look into.
In relation to that, and you had touched this earlier, around penetration, we see that the uptake of health insurance is up. You know, we at 90 plus. What needs to happen for us to achieve the same levels of penetration across all sectors? What advice can you give to policymakers to facilitate the kind of work that you're doing to drive penetration?
Okay, interesting question. I mean, we've had sessions with some of those key stakeholders and policymakers. You know, it keeps, you know, jumping from, you know, the ball jumping from one court to the other. It's like, no, you insurance operators, it's your ball to drive penetration. We always come back to them and say, look, it's a joint effort that is required here. Mutuelle de Santé did not reach where it is without active government and institutional support to the last level of Mudugudu. LTSS, Ejo Hazaza, the new informal saving scheme that was launched about a year and a half ago, is already progressing very well and growing beyond bounds, again because of an active role by government. At all levels, it's been encouraged, it's been promoted, it's been marketed at a local level. The head of Kagari, Umurenje, have set themselves targets to grow Ejo Heza, and companies are all involved. Similarly, that is the kind of, would I say, boost that we've been looking for. And we keep asking the other key stakeholders, i.e. government, the regulator, to play. Wherever insurance penetration has grown, especially in the emerging economies, there has been an active hand by government. Agriculture is one of those easy ones. The government is already starting there to get there, but we still believe there is more that needs to be done, especially in terms of involvement at the lowest governance level, which is Mudugudu and Akagari, to sensitize the population. And I mean, when you're talking about a product that is not easily consumed, I mean, it's an intangible sale. We're not talking of a product that is tangible. It requires a bit more than an insurance operator or an insurance executive walking village to village. Especially that when it comes to matters of insurance, given its nature, the population tends to view insurance operators as, you know, business driven for their own interest. So it's much easier if we had a boost from government and its structures, from the regulator, because those are trusted. We live in a country where the population has a lot, enormous trust in its governance and leadership. So once they move that level to encourage and promote insurance, you can be sure penetration will hit through the roof.
Listening to you, I can understand where you're coming from, but the response from government at some point is also always that they don't want to be seen to be competing with business or doing what businesses should be doing. And they will say, we need the insurance companies to be innovative and reach out, and so that you have voluntarily compliance. So if you could specifically speak to the kind of, if I may call it, de-risking, for instance, of the agriculture sector that you need from government.
Basically, it's not them competing. We don't want them to start setting up insurance companies. That I think our government has gone past. We simply are seeking for advocacy in terms of advocacy, promotion, you know, sensitization of the minds. A case in point that has succeeded so well that we all know about is the medical, I mean the health insurance, Mutuelle de Santé. It's been, you know, work that has been generated at government level. Initially, a traditional person or somebody in a traditional setup never understood the importance of Mutuelle de Santé until that was pushed right into their minds. And today, I'm told, whenever somebody is about to travel to Kigali from a remote part of the country, they will have their Mutuelle de Santé card pocketed before they think of anything else, before even in Dangamun, because they know the importance of that card to their lives. You know, it's that advocacy, it's that support. Seriously, we're thinking of advocacy more than anything else. And then probably in a joint manner, if we work together, the impact would be more profound.
Thank you. Any reactions to what he's saying?
Yes, add is for SME, to come back, because the subject is for most for SMEs and individuals, how to protect them, how to protect themselves against the shocks, etc. There is insurance product, and there is another part which is as much important, is the saving schemes, and we need to develop savings for our customers and develop saving culture to our customers. If you are an SME or an individual, either salaried or self-employed, if you have the reflex to save every month a small amount, a very small amount, and every month, after 3 years, after 5 years, it will be a big amount that can help you to support any bad event or anything, or to invest more in your business after. And this saving scheme, this why also we can do it together with insurance companies. It can be coupled with an insurance product. In case you save every month, but in case of bad event or something, the insurance can substitute and save at your place also, to prepare studies for your children, or to prepare for an investment, or to prepare to buy a house, etc. And this is key also for the economy, because if you develop the savings in our economy, first of all, it's very good for SMEs and individuals, and it's very key, and it must be developed, encouraged by government, but especially by banks and insurance companies. But it also increase the savings in the economy. Then the cost of saving, the cost of funding for the banks will be reduced, and then the banks will be allowed also to reduce the cost of loans, which also will encourage people to take loans and to develop new businesses. Then this virtual circle must be done, and it's very key, especially when we have some crisis like this one, to insist on the key importance to have some saving, regular saving, either we are SME or individual, and to get insured also.
To conclude, I would like to have a specific outlook for the sector, and I'll start with you, the future of banking going forward. As we see more fintechs, penetration, mobile money, one might wonder whether maybe 10 or 20 years from today would still need the banks, or will still have a bank as it is, Bear in mind what we are seeing in the fintech space and mobile money. What is the future of banking going forward against that background with a lot of disruption?
Yes, of course, the banking sector is adapting and is evolving, and I don't see it as a threat really, the MNOs.
So you still have your job?
Yes, that's the proof. and also because really it's complementary again. Because what they are doing, you can do transfers, you can have your own mobile wallet. But by the way, this mobile wallet, the funds are where? Are in the banks. Then we use these funds also to finance other businesses also. But loans, for instance, financing the economy, making international trade transactions for operators, for importers, opening LCs, letter of credits, making transfers, etc. All this will continue to be done by banks. But all this digital transformation, it helps businesses to develop their businesses remotely. But we have a lot of products and services that we offer to our customers, and we will continue to offer. But for the banking sector in Rwanda, I'm really optimistic, despite all the challenges that I mentioned before, and which is tough during this next year and 2 years, and we don't know when this crisis will finish. There is a lot of opportunities to continue to develop the country. A lot of sectors, as I mentioned also, that can be financed, that can be developed, and especially we also need to attract, and we continue to attract foreign investors in order to invest in sectors that are quite a green field for the moment, in manufacturing, in energy, etc. Then there is a lot of opportunity to growth, and Bank of Africa is really has the ambition to be one of the actors of this growth, and to increase its footprint in the country by financing these strategic sectors.
Very briefly, is there room for another player within the banking sector, or you're circulated?
No, I think there is enough banks in in the sector, and the banks needs to be strong. That's why the authorities have put in place a new law to increase the capital, to put the minimum of capital at 20 billion, because we need the size. The size is important. Then we have today 16 banks, 11 commercial banks, etc. in Rwanda. I think it's enough, and there will be naturally maybe some concentration in the near future. But if a new actor can come, it is also welcome, because it's an open market with a lot of competition. But I think the trend is more of concentration and to have more structured bank in order to deal with the challenges in the future. Because we need also, on the other side, to make a lot of investment, to continue to invest in data, in technology, as I said, in digital transformation platform, in order to adapt our bank to the new realities and to the new world.
Thank you. What is the future of insurance? Clearly, I mean, you're in a different space from the banking sector. We can say you are among the people that have benefited from the COVID crisis, because now everybody's thinking about risk. Everybody's,
I mean, the core functions of any insurance globally is first to underwrite risks. So that will still have to be done, and it's even more today than was in the past, isn't it? The second most important core function is settlement of claims. That needs to be today even more than it was many years ago. So insurance as a sector, as an activity, is still going to be around for a long, long time. Probably the form will be different. Today we've always known the mortar and brick kind of insurance with offices, with a few black-suited young people running around. Probably it won't be the same, because we are all moving the digital way. I can tell you that there are some companies that have already come up in certain places whereby everything from underwriting to claim settlement is done digitally. And those companies are already churning out millions of dollars without more than 10 people across the entire country. I mean, the entire company. So we also see that happen going forward, that the way we've been transacting is going to change for sure. We can't stay where we are. Specifically in the case of Rwanda, I think at 1.something or 2% penetration, 17% uptake, there's still a massive opportunity. It's still close to a green field. So there is definitely going to be lots of growth in the sector. In terms of where we are today, I think we need more consolidation. The companies as they are today, the insurance operators that are in the country today, are too weak to do the right investments, especially in the digital space, in the innovation space, on both product and processes, to get where we want. They are too small. Probably we need to get, let me say, guidance on more consolidation if we are going to get solid businesses that are ready to confront the future. Probably that's what I want to say.
And with that, we'll come to the end of the program. Allow me to thank my distinguished guest, John Milenje, CEO, Prime Insurance. Thank you so much for joining the discussion. Abdul Halim, thank you so much. The MD, Bank of Africa, thank you for joining the discussion.
Thank you.
And thank you, our viewers, for tuning in. Hope to join us next time for the next panel discussion. Thank you very much.